Good morning. I'm Paulk, and I'm joined by Chris Adamski in our TribLIVE radio studios. And thank you for joining us for another edition of the Steelers Roundtable. And Chris, let's get right to it. Bruce Gronkowski had to have surgery on his ring finger, put on injury reserve, and of course the Steelers had to look for a quarterback. And the quarterback is Michael Vick. Mike Vick nowadays. Was this a surprise to you? Because I think for most people, you had to go get someone. I think what it says more than anything else is they do not trust Landry Jones as being the backup quarterback to Ben Roethlisberger. So you had to get an experienced quarterback. I think that's what their preference was. But Mike Vick, are you surprised by that?
Well, yeah, you've had to figure at this point, to answer one of your questions in there, the Landry Jones issue, this is his third season now. He's a fourth-round pick. At this point, he's not a rookie anymore. He's not even a second-year guy anymore. He should be assimilated enough into the system. He should be, adjusted to the NFL speed and everything through enough practices and preseason games that you would think that ideally, I'm sure when they drafted him 2 years ago, they would have thought by now he could have been he could have made a run at Gronkowski to beat him out for the job, and they were probably hoping that, and maybe on some level expected that. And not only could he do that, but now when Gronkowski goes down, I think it was clear if watching the preseason games, watching camp, that they probably need to bring somebody else back in. I don't know if it's completely writing Landry Jones off now or not, but he's going to need to show some improvement, or I don't think he might not be back next year to be the third string, because then you're getting to the point where a fourth year guy's a third string quarterback. Really, I don't know if at that point you kind of got to either move on, get a younger guy in here, or do something. Now the fact that it was Vick, it surprised me that morning. That's for sure. I wasn't. It certainly is for a variety of reasons the biggest name was out there, and the name that certainly caused the most discussion for a lot of reasons. Number one overall pick. Arguably at one point, I don't say the face of the league, but the most marquee player in the league.
Right, and I think also too is that when you look at trying to bring in a quarterback, who best fits this system? In this offense that they run, and I think unlike anything else, you bring in a quarterback with tremendous athleticism, and he probably fits in the fact that for the first time, perhaps since he was in Atlanta, when Atlanta had pretty decent football teams, he has pretty good talent around him. Philadelphia, he has some decent football players, but here he has Antonio Brown, he has Le'Veon Bell. He has Martavis Bryant. He has an offensive line that's one of only three, with the exception now Marquise Pouncey, of course, with his injury. We'll talk about that later. But the reality is that he's surrounded by some very talented football players. If you bring an experienced quarterback in, I think what the Steelers are going to ask Mike Vick to do isn't a great deal. Because it's a situation where if he can not hurt this football team, that is the key. And the reality is, as long as Ben Roethlisberger is healthy, he's not going to play anyway. That's just the crux of that situation.
And I think they're really just watching Bruce Gronkowski. I don't know if it was his shoulder. Remember, he didn't practice the first 3 weeks of camp.
3 weeks. Right.
So that was an issue. It's a throwing shoulder. We're talking. It's like a pitcher in baseball. Mm-hmm. That's concerning, no matter how major it is or not major it is. And I know he's a veteran, and he's you don't think he needs that much camp. But then when he came back, it didn't look right in camp.
He didn't look good. But I've never thought Bruce Gronkowski looked good. I mean, that's just one thing. But and you talk about your Landry Jones. I think the reality for this kid is that I think somehow he's going to fit. He's going to fit on someone's team in the NFL. There are a lot of quarterbacks in this league, who are not as good as Landry Jones. Let's be honest.
There's not,
and he's had a tremendous amount of snaps. And when I asked Mike Tomlin yesterday about what does this mean for Landry Jones going forward, he said nothing. Well, sure it does. What it says is you have no confidence in Landry Jones to be your backup quarterback. You have to keep it real at that point.
And that's his third string quarterback. That's one thing. But when he's going to step into that situation as the backup, they clearly showed that we're not prepared to do that at any point.
Mm-hmm. Again, thank you for joining us here on the Steelers Roundtable on TribLIVE Radio. I'm Paulk and Chris Adamski.